Okay. Good morning. As chairman of the County Commission, I wanted to take a few minutes to discuss actions that the Board of Commissioners have taken related to the COVID-19 virus. First, I think it is important to note that jurisdictionally, the Commissioner's legal authority only extends to the unincorporated areas of the county. Orders concerning areas within the city limits must be executed by that particular city. You should check with your individual city councils to see what actions may be in effect for you. Last week, as part of the emergency planning process, I declared a state of emergency in Liberty County. This was done as part of an advanced planning initiative in conjunction with the Georgia Emergency Management Agency. Today at 11 o'clock, the Board of Commissioners adopted a supplemental declaration of local emergency order related to the spread of COVID-19 and to provide taxpayer relief from certain governmental obligations. This order can be viewed on our departmental page at libertycountyga.com. That's at libertycountyga.com, and on our Board of Commissioners Facebook page. The order addresses several items of importance. It only affects the unincorporated areas of the county. I'm going to ask County Administrator Joey Brown to please go through that document for you at this time, just with some specifics of the document. Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The provisions of the emergency declaration adopted today by the County Commission will be in effect through April 6th of 2020 unless modified by a subsequent order, at which time a state of emergency exists. I'm going to go through and just highlight some sections for you. Please know that at the end of this, if you have any questions, you can direct those to the Facebook page. We'll be monitoring those as they come up. First, all public or private community gatherings of more than 10 people anywhere in the unincorporated areas of the county are prohibited during the duration of the declaration. A community gathering is defined as any outdoor or indoor event, meeting or convening of people subject to certain situations below that I'll describe that brings together or is likely to bring together or solicits to bring together 10 or more persons at the same time in a single room or other confined enclosed space or other discrete area, such as an auditorium, a stadium, an indoor-outdoor tent, arena, event center, music venue, meeting hall, conference center, large cafeteria, basketball court, swimming pool, sports field, or any other similar indoor-outdoor space. A community gathering does not include the following or similar uses, so long as the citizens practice attending that event, practice social distancing requirements, and all other applicable provisions of the declaration. These include governmental operations, spaces where persons may be in transit or waiting for transit, such as bus stations, child care or adult care facilities, residential buildings, or any type of temporary sheltering or housing, grocery stores, pharmacies, or other retail, commercial, and industrial facilities, which comply with the section below that I'll get to in a second. Hospital, medical facilities, and other healthcare operations, the performance of job duties by persons not subject to mandatory quarantine protocols established pursuant to the executive order as issued by the governor, and nonprofit operations undertaken to address emergency conditions. Again, these type of community gatherings are not prohibited, okay? Additionally, pursuant to Executive Order 3.23.20.01 issued by Governor Brian Kemp on March 23, 2020, the executive order, no business establishment, corporation, nonprofit corporation, or organization shall allow more than 10 persons to be gathered at a single location if such gathering requires persons to stand or be seated within 6 feet of another person. This emergency measure is mandatory. Pursuant to the executive order, the following persons who have serious underlying conditions likely to cause an increased spread of COVID-19 if infected shall isolate, quarantine, or shelter in place within their homes or place of residence. those persons who live in a nursing home or long care facility, those persons who have chronic lung disease, those persons who are currently undergoing cancer treatment, and those persons included in the Department of Health Administrative Order 3.22.20.01, including those persons who have received a positive lab confirmed test for COVID-19, those persons suspected to have COVID-19 based on symptoms and a known exposure to a person with COVID-19, and those persons who have been in close contact with a person with known or suspected COVID-19. The conditions of that such quarantine, isolation, or shelter in place are set forth in the Department of Public Health Administrative Order, and that's in accordance with the executive order issued by the governor, and that is mandatory. So as to ensure that the maximum number of people self-isolate to better enable essential services to continue and to slow the spread of COVID-19, all individuals living within the unincorporated areas of the county and who are not required to quarantine, isolate, or shelter in place are requested to shelter at their residence and travel outside the residence only to obtain health care services or engage in activities or perform tasks essential to their health or medications, to obtain other necessary services or supplies, including groceries, household supplies, financial services, supplies needed to work from home, fuel and auto repair, laundry cleaners, takeout meals, government and social services, legal and other professional services, child care services, etc. To engage in any outdoor activity like walking, hiking, jogging, bicycling, provided that social distancing requirements are observed, and to perform work providing essential products and services. The foregoing that I just described shall be interpreted to allow persons to engage in the above activities described in those matters for themselves, their families, household members, significant others, and pets, as well as neighbors and others who may need assistance. At present, this request is not mandatory, but is strongly encouraged. Very important to section number 5 of the order. The following business categories shall be regulated as follows. Restaurants shall close to the public, except to provide takeout, delivery, drive-through, or curbside service. Restaurants which are duly licensed under the Code of Ordinances of Liberty County for the sale of alcoholic beverages by the drink for consumption on premises may sell beer and wine in sealed containers by the package without obtaining additional licenses. Cafeterias in hospitals, nursing homes, or similar facilities shall not be subject to the restrictions contained in this section. In order to qualify as a restaurant under this section, the food establishments must derive at least 60% of its total annual gross sales from the sale of prepared meals or food in all of the combined retail outlets of the individual establishment where food is served during the preceding calendar year, or, if it is a new business, is reasonably projected to derive at least 60% of its total annual gross sales from the sale of prepared meals or food in all the combined retail outlets of the individual establishment where food is served during the remainder of the calendar year. Again, to reemphasize, restaurants shall close to the public for inside service. Service will be limited to takeout, delivery, drive-through, or curbside. Except for the restaurants that were described above, all business licensed under the code for the sale of alcoholic beverage for consumption on premise, such as bars, nightclubs, social clubs, taverns, and similar establishments, shall close for business. This does not include liquor stores that sell to go. Again, these are business licensed under the code for consumption on premises. These must close. All indoor recreation facilities, including without limitation, gyms, health studios, dance studios, martial arts studios, yoga or other fitness classes, spas, saunas, indoor amusement facilities, arcades, bowling alleys, pool halls, movie theaters, playhouses, and concert venues shall be closed for business. To the extent that any of the foregoing also qualify as a restaurant, The business may remain open for the limited purposes as described a minute ago. Additionally, all hair salons, barber shops, nail salons, tattoo parlors, massage parlors, and similar businesses which require sustained physical contact shall be closed for business. All other retail, commercial, and industrial establishments will be permitted to remain open, subject to the following restrictions. Reasonable steps are taken to ensure that customers, employees, and other persons on the premise observe social distancing requirements. Employees are not allowed to work if they are subject to mandatory quarantine protocols established by the governor's executive order, which I read a minute ago. And reasonable, appropriate cleaning, sanitizing protocols designed to minimize the spread of COVID-19 are reduced to writing and diligently observed. All recreation gyms, basketball courts, sports fields, and other recreational facilities operated by the Liberty County Recreation Department shall be closed to the public, and all programs shall be suspended except that public parks and green space areas shall remain open for passive recreation use only, i.e., walking, jogging, bicycling, so long as such use does not violate the social distancing requirements as set forth in the declaration, and no more than 10 persons are present at any one time in a discrete portion of any park or green space area. Passive recreation areas shall not be used by individuals who are subject to mandatory quarantine protocols established by the executive order. Interpretation of this section shall be at discretion of those employees of the county having responsibility for the operation of such recreation areas. So again, gatherings, any kind of event on recreation fields, on recreation property is prohibited. All permits for special events, including facility rentals to be held on property owned or leased by the county, are hereby canceled, and no new special event shall be authorized for the duration of the declaration. Persons affected by this cancellation are entitled to a refund of any permit, deposit, or rental fees paid. All late fees and penalties authorized in connection with any water system owned or operated by the county are hereby waived for such services furnished during the months of March, April, May, or June, provided that usage and other fees for such services are not waived and must eventually be paid in accordance with a reasonable payment schedule established in consultation with the responsible customer. Additionally, in no event shall any order for the disconnection of county-provided water service be issued for non-payment of required fees through October 1st of 2020. All deadlines imposed under the code relating to the renewal of business licenses or occupational tax certificates and the payment of related fees shall be tolled for the duration of this declaration and for 45 days following the expiration of the declaration. The reporting and payment deadlines for excise taxes on the sale of alcoholic beverages imposed under the code for the calendar months of March, April, and May, or any part thereof, shall be extended to the 10th day of September 2020, provided that the above extension shall not apply to any other months except those months specifically mentioned. Pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Board of Commissioners contemporaneously herewith, the Tax Commissioner is authorized to waive in whole or in part the collection of any amount due to the county or any other taxing authority for which taxes are collected in calendar year 2020, when such amount represents a penalty or an amount of interest assessed for failures to comply with the laws governing the assessment and collection of ad valorem taxes when the Commissioner determines that the default giving rise to the penalty or interest was due to hardships resulting from the COVID-19 public health emergency. As used in the declaration, the phased social distancing requirements or social distancing shall mean those protocols recommended by the CDC with respect to personal space and hygiene, and shall minimally require at least 6 foot social distancing from other individuals, washing hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or using hand sanitizer if soap and water is not readily available as frequently as practicable, covering coughs and sneezes into the sleeve or elbow, not hands, and refraining from customary greetings requiring personal contact, an example, shaking hands. All houses of worship are encouraged to achieve density reduction in all services, whether scheduled or based upon a life event such as a funeral or baptism, and whenever practical shall practice social distancing. Houses of worship are further requested to use social media or other video outlets to broadcast worship services in lieu of physical services to the extent practicable. Funeral homes shall likewise strive for density reduction in all areas and shall ensure that vehicles used to transport families and facilities shall be thoroughly cleaned between uses in accordance with applicable guidelines issued by the CDC and the Georgia Funeral Directors Association. Graveside services of 10 or less participants are highly encouraged. Recognizing the vital importance of organized religion to many in our county, and so as to not unduly interfere with the legitimate exercise of religious freedom, the above emergency measure is not mandatory, but highly encouraged. Pursuant to the Emergency Management Ordinance, violation of any mandatory provision of this declaration upon conviction is punishable by a fine not to exceed $1,000 and or imprisonment not to exceed 120 days for each violation. The owner of land upon which the violation occurs and each person assisting in the commission of the violation shall be guilty of separate offenses. For purposes of enforcing the provisions of the declaration, each day during which a violation or failure to comply continues shall constitute a separate violation. Injunctive relief shall also be available to restrain any violation of the declaration. Those are the substance of the declaration. Again, if you have any questions related to the declaration, please refer back to the Facebook posting that'll be there, a tape of this, or direct any questions to that direct department who administers section of the declaration. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I've had several questions posed to me about the status of operations of various offices and divisions of the county. It is important to note that certain offices do not, I repeat, do not fall under the operational jurisdiction of the Board of Commissioners. Those include the courts, the Sheriff's Department, Tax Commissioner, Tax Assessor, and the elections, just to name a few. In the effort for you to be kept up to date on rapidly changing conditions, we have asked all departments to use their individual department pages at libertycountyga.com to post status reports. Please check those respective websites. These pages should also provide you with direct contact information for that division or for that office. At this time, all departments are manned. At this time, all of our departments are manned. However, building traffic has been limited or discontinued. Contact numbers are posted on the outside of all facilities for your convenience. The state has set up a COVID-19 hotline, which is manned 24 hours a day. That number is 1-844-442-2681. 1-844-442-2681. Persons are available to assist with any questions that you might have. This is a very fluid situation and things are changing rapidly. I urge you to stay informed of the federal, state, and the local events. I also urge you to strictly adhere to CDC and DPH recommendations as they relate to distancing and to sanitization. It is only through these efforts that we will be able to defeat this virus and its spread. So please be wise, be safe, and be encouraged. Thank you very much. Sure.